What if I told you that the difference between financial stress and financial freedom isn't $1 million, isn't even six figures, and it's not some secret investment strategy that only Wall Street insiders know about? The number that actually changes everything is 20,000. And today I'm going to show you exactly why crossing that threshold doesn't just change your bank account balance. It rewires your entire brain, transforms your career, and sets off a chain reaction that makes every dollar you earn and save from that point forward work harder than you ever could on your own. Let's start with something real. When you're constantly broke or just barely getting by, every single financial decision you make is filtered through fear. Should I buy that? Can I afford this? What happens if something unexpected comes up? Psychologists actually have a name for this mental state, and it's called survival mode. When your brain is locked in survival mode, it literally cannot think about growth, opportunity, or the future. It's entirely consumed by the immediate present, by keeping the lights on and food in the fridge. This isn't a character flaw. It's biology. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is protect you from immediate threats. But here's where it gets fascinating. Research shows that even a relatively small financial cushion, as little as $2,000 in emergency savings, improves your measurable financial well-being by over 20%. That's not a typo. $2,000 creates a psychological shift that's enormous. Now imagine what happens when you push that cushion all the way to 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which for most people lands somewhere in the range of $20,000. Suddenly, you're not just surviving. You're operating from a completely different mental framework. You go from asking, how do I get through this week, to asking, how do I build something that lasts? This is the $20,000 threshold, and it's more powerful than almost anyone talks about. Now let's get into the math, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. Imagine you're saving and investing $1,000 every month at an 8% annual return. Getting to your first $20,000 takes roughly 19 months. That's a year and a half of real discipline and sacrifice. It's not easy, and honestly, most people quit before they get there. But here's what makes it all worth it. Your second $20,000 doesn't take another 19 months. It takes about 17 months. And your third $20,000 takes even less time after that. Your existing money is now working alongside your contributions, generating its own returns, shortening the timeline automatically. By the time you've built up a $400,000 portfolio, your investments can generate a fresh $20,000 in roughly 5 months without you saving a single extra dollar. The same milestone that took you almost 2 years to hit initially now happens automatically every 5 months. That's the compounding effect in action, and it starts the moment you cross that first $20,000 mark. Here's something else most people completely miss. When you have $20,000 working in the market at 10% annually, you're generating $2,000 a year without lifting a finger. That's money that didn't require your time, your energy, or your labor. It just showed up because your money was doing work on your behalf. Before that point, your returns feel almost insignificant. 10% on $2,000 is just $200. Nice, but not exactly the kind of thing that changes your life. 10% on $20,000 is $2,000. Now we're talking about real money that genuinely accelerates your progress. And I want you to pause here, because if any of this is resonating with you, if you're someone who's serious about actually building wealth and not just understanding it intellectually, you need to check out the Wealth Accelerator Academy. It's a group coaching system and course specifically designed to take you from where you are right now to real financial freedom, with a community, a roadmap, and the accountability that actually makes the difference. The link is in the description below. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention, which is what this money does to your career. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are essentially a hostage to your employer. Your boss treats you poorly, but you stay because you need that check. The work is soul-crushing, but the alternative feels too risky. You never ask for the raise you deserve, because deep down, you're terrified of what happens if they say no, or worse, if they let you go. $20,000 changes that entire dynamic. Suddenly, you have what I'd call walking away money. You could quit tomorrow, take a few months to find something better, and survive just fine. And here's the wild part. You often don't even have to use it. Just knowing it's there changes how you carry yourself at work. You become more confident. You push back when you need to. You ask for what you deserve. And people notice that shift in your energy. Better assignments come your way. Recognition follows. Pay increases follow that. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of momentum, all because you built that foundation. But here's where most people completely sabotage themselves. They finally hit $20,000 and immediately reward themselves by blowing it. A new car, an extravagant vacation, a down payment on a house they can't actually afford. I get the impulse. You worked hard and you deserve something for it. But that $20,000 is not a prize. It is the seed of everything that comes after it. Spend it and you go right back to the beginning, right back to survival mode, right back to fear-based decision-making. Speaking of cars, let's talk about one of the most quietly devastating wealth destroyers in most people's lives. The average person spends somewhere between $600 and $800 every single month on transportation costs, when you factor in car payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance. Over a 40-year period, that adds up to $400,000 or more just to get from one place to another. And the moment you drive a brand new car off the lot, it loses roughly 20% of its value immediately. You're not just spending money, you're actively destroying it. Meanwhile, that same monthly amount invested consistently over decades would compound into life-changing wealth. The person driving the flashy new car might look successful, but they're often quietly stressed and behind. The person driving the reliable used car might look like they're cutting corners, but they're funding their freedom. And once you have $20,000 saved and start thinking in terms of opportunity cost, this becomes obvious. That $30,000 car isn't $30,000. It's the $200,000 it could have grown into over 20 years, sitting in a diversified portfolio. This is the mindset shift that $20,000 triggers. You stop asking, can I afford the monthly payment, and start asking, what is this actually costing me in the long run? You stop making financial decisions based on how things feel in the moment, and start making them based on what they mean for your future. And here's the beautiful thing about thinking this way. You often realize you don't actually want half the things you thought you wanted. The bigger apartment, the luxury subscription, the expensive hobby. When you run them through the filter of what does this cost me in terms of time to financial freedom, the answer often makes the choice very clear. None of this means becoming a joyless person who never spends money on anything fun. It means becoming intentional. It means understanding the difference between the things that genuinely add value to your life and the things you're buying just to fill a gap or signal status to other people. When you have a clear financial foundation and a growing understanding of how compound growth works, that distinction becomes much easier to make. The other thing that happens at this level is you start noticing opportunities that were always around you but invisible before. A friend starts a business and needs a small investor. Before, you scroll past. Now you can actually run the numbers and decide. A rental property pops up that needs work but is priced below market. Before, it's a daydream. Now it's a real conversation. A career opportunity requires you to invest in yourself up front. Before, that's impossible. Now it's a calculation you can actually make. Wealthy people aren't operating in some exclusive universe with secret investment vehicles regular people can't access. They're just working with bigger numbers, and bigger numbers turn the same percentage gains into life-changing amounts of money. The index funds, the brokerages, the basic principles, all of it is available to anyone. Scale is the only real difference, and hitting $20,000 is where you begin to feel that scale working in your favor for the first time. So here's the bottom line. $20,000 won't make you rich overnight, but it will fundamentally transform how you think about money, how you show up at work, what opportunities you can say yes to, and what kind of financial decisions you make from that point forward. It is the line between reacting to your financial life and designing it. Everything before, it feels like pushing uphill. Everything after it, the slope starts working with you. If you're ready to stop just understanding this and actually start building it, I want to invite you again to check out the Wealth Accelerator Academy. It's a full coaching system and course built specifically to help you create the roadmap, build the habits, and get the support you need to hit real financial freedom. The link is in the description. Your future self is going to be defined by the decisions you make starting right now. Start building.